Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations about manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is The Overflowing Elixir of the Fallen House, a Moro manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 70 on. Its main character is Damduk Ryon, a member of the Damduk Moro family. While it's not necessarily one of the more famous ones like Namgung, it does come up here and there in terms of the Moro family names. Ryon, specifically though, was a sickly individual that was mostly incapable of doing anything much, even more so in any martial arts capacity. This stayed the same all throughout her life until the day her family was attacked and even destroyed when she was an adult. Waking up back in her childhood, Ryon realized this was her second chance. But she's already 8 years old, having lived the last 7 years as a husk till her family sacrificed quite a lot to get her to wake up. Now, looking to change the future that she lived or foresaw, Ryon will make her family survive that chaos any way she can. But what does she have? An innate ability to see people's constitution and abilities. The story is 8 out of 10. A Morum story all about this particular family. Ryon feels the weight of her family's sacrifice for saving her life from really becoming just mundane. She looks to utilize that personal power of hers to benefit not just herself, but her family first and foremost. The first thing, of course, that comes up is the fact that her family is a little bit of a financial and social drought, though. The characters are 9 out of 10. From a loving grandfather to a worried mother, there are actually a whole lot of members in this family, and they're one of the actually good families to each other. They're not worried about the political family game of who's going to be the next heir or anything. They just seemingly try to be a truly loving family, which is rare for a Morum story to have. The art is 7 out of 10. For a more slower paced story, plus a Morum one at that, this one has only really just started getting its footing in any other direction other than the internal family care. There are some slight hints of action and growth for Ryon throughout, but I'm curious to see if they will time skip to get to a good action portion once the foundation is truly solid. So if you're a fan of Moro manhwas where there is a loving family, similar to the genius grandson of the Namgung clan from my previous videos, then fans of the genre would definitely enjoy The Overflowing Elixir of the Fallen House. This next manhwa to take a look at is The Baseball Team's Newbie is Too Good, a sports manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 48 on. The protagonist of this tale is Kim Ji-sup, a 32-year-old baseball player who has been in a lot of countries trying to play professionally. However, his talent was only average at best considering he was a pitcher that didn't even have some of the raw speed necessary to survive at the highest level. From there, he goes home to Korea planning to retire from baseball and live a normal life. That is, until an opportunity came his way to coach baseball instead. What he initially thought was more of a day job to make ends meet turns to be a potential life-changing event as he sees his experience as a player give him insights necessary to teach others well. From here on, it's time for a team that chooses him to do great. The story is 9 out of 10. More often than not, a lot of the sports manhwa I see usually has some sort of fantasy element tied to it, whether it be regression, fairies, or the like. This is more focused on effort that actually truly pays off in ways, just not necessarily in the places you think. Ji-sup, having the not-so-glorious playing history, turns opinions around once he's able to work with people on their game. It's a satisfying tale so far. The characters are 8 out of 10. Considering the background that I alluded to, Ji-sup is actually quite the reserved individual. He knows what attitude his background will receive from others. However, because of this experience, he also learns that his knack for teaching will become valuable and he doesn't sell himself short on those things. The art is also 8 out of 10. The more team-focused approach because of Ji-sup's role is a refreshing sight in the world of baseball manhwa. For those familiar with my channel, there are a decent amount of them that I've covered so far. This one caught my eye because Ji-sup is not an active player. So if you're a fan of sports manhwa where the main character isn't actually an active player, but instead taking care of the team similar to a tactical genius on the field from my previous videos, then fans of the genre will certainly like The Baseball Team's Newbie is Too Good. The Regretful Villainess is Happily Divorced is the name of our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a romance manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 37 on. Marlena is the name of its main character. she is of course not originally the real Marlena. The one we follow is someone that ended up possessing the body of Marlena, the character from a dark fantasy novel from her original or past life. Knowing the events of the original novel, and being aware of the true face of her current husband, Marlena just wants out of this particular relationship, doing everything she can that would lead to divorce. Things get a little bit difficult at first, but we see a string of events that will allow Marlena to enact a little vengeance on her then husband and maybe, just maybe, find another person to love. The story is 7 out of 10. Possessing a character from a dark fantasy romance novel isn't the most unique premise, but having one to be this direct about wanting a divorce or wait out of the relationship is at least refreshing. It also isn't a constant back and forth about it either. It's very set in stone in its direction and trying to push forward, although there will be some situations to deal with in the future. The characters are 6 out of 10. Focusing on Marlena's situation in the chapters we see so far, we get to see the development of both her and her husband's relationship and particular attitudes that are prominent in the society they live in. Marlena's past life, of course, has some reveals that are just very timely given the situation, and the supposed male lead for now also just leaves a lot to be desired. The art is 7 out of 10. With a very master-servant romance style that is initially served to us, it can be very jarring moving from scene to scene if you're trying to be a little bit more engrossed into the story. I'm just not too much of a fan of the level of puppy eyes love that is giving off right now, but maybe it might get better once the male lead has some more time. So if you enjoy romance manhwas and don't mind the puppy eye love staring you down the throat, with a more strong-natured female lead, then the Regretful Villainess is Happily Divorced is one that has some promise to it if you potentially give it the chance. Our shorter story for this week is I Became the Demonic Cult Leader's Husband, a Mura manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 30 on. The focus of this story is on Jin Yeom-young, a high-ranking person within the demonic sect, an organization that is common in Murim stories. Yeom-young witnesses the destruction of said sect and falls alongside the leader of the cult, Chon-yu-ra. He, weirdly enough, had an admiration and respect for the leader that is towing the line with romantic interest. The peculiar thing, though, is that Yeom-young is sure that he will be able to regress to the past, but of course, we don't know how he knows this or why. Soon enough, he does, and as the useless eldest son of the Jin clan, one of the great 6 clans within the demonic sect in this version of Murim, Yeom-young wants to prevent the fall of the cult or really just make Chon-yu-ra happy. But clearly, there is more to this fall than even he is able to determine. Time to shed off the useless image and actually be useful for once. The potential is 9 out of 10. From the get-go, this manhwa already sows the seed for a potentially long and dragged out tale. Instead of waning my interest, it's instead raised it. For folks familiar with Murim manhwas, the sect that Yeom-young is a part of is usually regarded as evil. This one paints them as a little bit more neutral, with political scheming being the main reason for the sect falling. However, what is the truth behind it all? The art is 8 out of 10. Considering I've only read 30 chapters, there's already a lot that this manhwa is capable of. From showing off good auras and political maneuvering to the actual combat scenes themselves, it makes me genuinely look forward for what's to come. So if you enjoy newer stories and are a fan of Murim manhwas in general, and like aspects of Legend of the Northern Blade and Reincarnated Heavenly Demon from my previous videos, then fans of the genre should keep an eye on I Became the Demonic Cult Leader's Husband. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video. Our highlight today is the novel's extra, which I've now read up to chapter 143 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Kim Ha-jin is of course our protagonist. As a quick refresher, he is an author who was writing a novel when he found himself reincarnating into said novel, but as an extra with the same name, Kim Ha-jin. Now having to live in the world that he created, or more aptly, co-created, as he's able to discover that there was a co-author, Ha-jin has been trying to follow the events of the story, but also manipulate it in ways that would be beneficial to the world, or at least himself. Throughout his journey, he attends the same school as the characters he created, but he gets close to them, and in some ways gets too close to one particular individual. As a quick side note, Season 3 has now finished, so it's the perfect time to get caught up considering it's 143 chapters long so far. Anyway, To continue, now that he's too close, he has had to make a decision that will ultimately cause grief, pain, and suffering, but is for the ultimate good. Will it be truly beneficial, or has he just spelled out his own future end? As you might have noticed, I changed up the summary portion in terms of how I present it. Please let me know in the comment section down below, or give it a like if you like this summary, and I might just continue making more of them. My previous scores for this manhwa were 8 out of 10 for characters and art, and 9 out of 10 for story. The characters stay the same at 8 out of 10, as the description I laid in my last video stays the same. These are characters that live and breathe and are not just writing on some page. Now with the current events passing, it becomes a more heartbreaking relationship mixed with confusion and anxiety. And what delivers those emotions, though, is the art, which goes up to 9 out of 10. It's one of my favorites when it comes to just the style that they choose to illustrate the story with, and it's able to show the vulnerability of the various characters, but also showcase the intensity of having to be in combat in their society and world. If the art previews of the left are an interest to you, please do try this manhwa. The story also goes up, but to 10 out of 10, as honestly, this latest season ender has me truly invested. The slower pace, the anxiety, even potentially to the reader of the situation at hand for Hajin, it truly makes you feel engrossed in it. And to that point, even Hajin himself is clearly engrossed, as he forgets sometimes that he's in the story that he created, it seems. Anyway, to put it simply, the novel's extra has really captivated me and moved its way up to be one of my favorite manhwas of all time. It doesn't matter what type of reader you are, it's a definite recommend from me. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on the novel's extra. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading, and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.